Today's guest is the founder of Meaga Glow, the skincare brand that's not just about radiant skin, but radiant confidence. Meaga Glow is built on the belief that skincare should also be about self-love, as well as confidence, long-lasting results, and powerful ingredients. So Megan Seidner is here today to share all of the tips, tricks, and must-knows when it comes to our skincare. So Megan, where are you calling from today?
Thanks, guys. I'm calling from Los Angeles adjacent, California.
Love it. And tell us a little bit about yourself and how you started Meaga Glow Skincare.
Yeah, so I've been doing Meaga Glow for about 2-3 years now, almost 3 years. And it all kind of accumulated from when I was a lot younger. I had really bad acne, and there was at the time not as much information as there is now. Right on TikTok, social media, YouTube, Google Chat, to find out what really works for you. And kind of the flip side to that is with all the available information now, there's almost too much information, and a lot of that information is hard to kind of sift through or figure out what really works particularly for you. So with Meaga Glow, our whole premise is that we really push education and finding exactly what works for you. So we offer things like free skin consultations and one-on-one skin consultations where we look at, things like your diet and topical medicines that you're using or oral medicines that you're using to make sure that your skincare routine kind of fits all together with that. And we send out newsletters every Sunday to highlight ingredients, so you can learn a little bit more about that too. So even if you decide I don't want to use a Meaga Glow product, you can go shopping at Sephora or Ulta or the derm store and kind of look through ingredients and say, oh, I learned about this one and I know that works for my skin or what I need. And so you can take that knowledge and kind of use it wherever. So Meaga Glow really, I wanted to make sure that people had the information they needed and the tools they needed to have a really successful skincare regimen.
I think that's such an important mission statement for any brand, is that it's not just about the product, but about informing the people as well and really educating on that. So I love that you said that. But I also think it's just so amazing that you started your own company. So I want to know what has been your proudest moment in this journey starting your own business?
I'd say just people who regularly come back and buy my product, or someone who's like, oh, I heard my friend is using your cleanser and it changed her skincare routine for her, or, I think that's just my favorite thing, is people being able to tell other people that they love my products, and then just someone coming back and buying the product again and again.
So it really shows that you are making a difference. I love that. Well, we're going to showcase a little bit of not only your personal content, but also some of the Meaga Glow content as well, and ask you some questions. So the first little video that I'll play here is from your personal TikTok. First of all, congratulations. You are a new mom. And over on your personal TikTok, you share a lot of daily vlogs and daily routines as well. How has being a new mom impacted your own self-care routine?
Well, definitely just squeezing in that self-care routine at the end or beginning of the day is, a lot harder. I don't have the luxury of I used to brag that I would have a 2-hour skincare routine, and I really loved that time in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
That time has been cut down a lot. So now, it's closer to like 5-10 minutes. And, the great thing about my products too is that you can use more or less, or do something more in the morning or more at night, and everything kind of works together. So yeah, but being a first-time mom and having that time to do self-care is definitely a lot harder at first.
Yes, and that's why I love your TikTok, is that it's great showing the postpartum life and an actual genuine look, but also still encouraging people to incorporate some of that self-care. So I love that. The next video that we have is, again, on your personal TikTok. You do show a lot of skincare routines. But what I want to know is, when you're doing these, do you do, especially with that 2-hour long skincare routine, are you doing this in silence and meditative? Are you listening to music, or are you watching any type of show or movies?
Okay, so generally I'd say it would be music, but in a postpartum life, it's in silence or watching the baby monitor.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, so a little bit of both. Some music for you, but then also you got to have your responsibilities as well. But you guys can go follow Megan's personal TikTok at Megan. We will leave the little graphic here so you guys can follow there. But moving into some of the Meaga Glow content into your actual brand here for the next photo. So you have a lot of different products, and I feel like when it comes to skincare, like you mentioned, a lot of people aren't educated. How do you figure out what type of skin you have, whether it be oily, combination, or dry? What is a fail-safe way to determine your skin type?
So I'd say my favorite way to figure that out is when you're fresh out the shower, how your skin feels if you don't wash it right away. So maybe, 15 minutes, 20 minutes after you shower, your skin's feeling really tight. You probably have drier skin. If it's feeling tight in just some areas, I would say combination. Or if it's not feeling tight at all and you're maybe just a little oily skin. So I think that's kind of the best way to figure that out.
I don't know why I'd ever consider that, because I feel like I see TikTok hacks all the time of like, stick a tissue to your face, and if it sticks, you have this, but it's never a fail-safe way. But I feel like that makes sense, is that right out of the shower is as clean as it's gonna be. So test there to see what kind of skin type you have, and then like you mentioned, apply your products based on that. So good to know. And our last photo from the Meaga Glow Instagram account. Final answer, because I don't even know. What is the correct order to apply our nighttime skincare?
So generally it's thinnest to thickest. So you want to think like the thinnest molecule at the bottom of the thicker molecule, kind of like oil and water, right? So oil sits on top of water. Same with your skincare, thinnest to thickest. So cleanser, toner, essence, serum, night cream, oil.
Okay, so you can do the heavier creams with oil still on top. It's not going to be doing too much. Oh.
It totally depends on your skin, right? Like if your skin can handle it, go ahead and do it. You saw like that slugging maybe happening on TikTok a couple years back. Some people's face can handle it. Mine personally can't, so I don't dive into that at all. But if you can handle it, I always say then do it. So, but yeah, you can definitely do a nighttime oil. We have a marula oil that I like to use at night, and I put that to sleep on. Yeah, it's great.
So then I also heard a rumor that when you are doing a lot of nighttime skincare, that in the morning you shouldn't wash your face, because then you're just washing it all off. That instead you should just rinse with water and do it again. What's your opinions on the morning washing of your face?
So I personally think the morning is the most important, especially if you're not changing your pillowcase every night, or not sleeping in a bonnet, because you are catching all of your dirty hair, or sweat is building up on your skin, your dirty pillowcase. You got to wash all that off and make sure you got your morning skincare routine going.
Makes sense. We're getting some social media comments, but we're going to highlight those at the end, because now we're going to move into some questions regarding social media and some viral things we've been seeing on TikTok. So the first video comes from Dr. Hasia, where she shares online the best ingredients that you need based on your skin. So for example, salicylic acid for acne or zinc for oily skin. What I want to know from you, Megan, is how much do things like stress, sleep, and diet also affect your skin, in addition to these ingredients within your skincare?
Well, things like stress, diet, and sleep are definitely factors of hormonal, especially acne. Then when you think about diet, you can think about maybe not drinking enough water. So that definitely dehydrates your skin. And if you've ever gone out maybe to a music festival or just been out all night, pulling an all-nighter for work, you kind of wake up in the morning, or not wake up in the morning, but look in the mirror in the morning and kind of maybe your skin's a little extra wrinkly. So that can definitely be a factor of diet, right? Maybe you were eating a lot of pizza or something quick that you could grab. So not drinking enough water too. So I definitely think all those factors also play a huge role.
Good to know. So it's not just about the products you use, but about your lifestyle in general. So don't blame the products if you're not getting any sleep and eating nothing but French fries all day, but you didn't hear it from me in that case. The next question from social media. So over on TikTok, the Garza crew, which has 5.2 million followers, they share their skincare routines from their 8-year-old daughters, which I think we can all agree is a little too young to be starting with skincare. But with our demographic, we want to know, when is the best time to start anti-aging products for the older demographic who's already involved in skincare?
So first of all, I kind of hate the term anti-aging, right? We're always aging, so I we call it healthy aging. I want to make sure we're aging in a more healthy manner. I think you can start anti-aging with sunscreen as early, as 10 years old. I played soccer growing up, and I can definitely see my hands. They are aged more than most of my body. I think I just didn't put a lot of sunscreen on my hands. But if you're going to use like a retinol, tretinoin, niacinamide type of product, I would wait maybe till you're 20. But anything younger than that, these 8-year-olds just wear sunscreen, little babies.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. And I can relate too, because growing up playing soccer, I look back at photos and be like, oh my God, I was so tan. How come I can't get tan anymore? Oh, I wasn't wearing sunscreen. And I'm gonna hate that in a few years, that's for sure. So to all those young kids out there, you don't need a nighttime anti-aging, anti-wrinkle moisturizer, just sunscreen and you're good to go.
Just sunscreen, yeah.
Crazy. And our last social media question is, so Ryan Lynn went viral on TikTok for trying the salmon sperm facial, which is known as one of the most painful beauty services out there, where they're literally injecting salmon DNA into your skin to improve elasticity and prevent wrinkles. But a fun one for you, Megan, is what's the wildest thing you've done in the name of self-care?
I've actually done some intense laser treatments myself. I found out I was allergic to nitrous oxide by doing microneedling, essentially really intense microneedling, and they give you nitrous oxide to inhale during the treatment, and I broke out in hives and realized, oh, I'm allergic. So that was pretty intense.
Oh my gosh, was at least the treatment worth it after our breaking out in hives?
I would say no, do not spend your money on Morpheus 8. That was a big dent in the wallet, and I wouldn't recommend it to anybody.
Good to know. I think one of the weirdest things I've done is I've done one of those sensory deprivation tanks where you're literally like floating in salt water, and it was cool, fun to try, but I tell people like, don't spend your money on that. It kind of just felt like a really nice nap in water. But sometimes you got to try things just to either self-relax or just to test them out and see. So that is a good one. But we do have a couple of questions over on social media. Let's highlight that comment from Mary. So Mary over on YouTube asks, do you really need an eye cream, or is it just a fancy moisturizer?
So that question definitely is one that comes up a lot, and one of the reasons I haven't put out an eye cream for so long is because I really felt like you could just use your moisturizer under your eyes. But some of us do have darker pigmentation under our eyes, and sometimes you're not using a moisturizer that targets that specifically. So if you're looking for something that's targeting discoloration or maybe the fine lines around your eyes that isn't necessarily in your daily or nightly moisturizer, then sure, maybe you do need a moisturizer that is targeting those a little bit more. And some people tend to be either more oily around their eyes or more dry. So if you need something that targets those things more specifically, then I think you could definitely go spend some money on an eye cream.
Makes sense. I love that. And our last question comes from Obella Mafia over on YouTube, and they want to know, you actually mentioned this keyword. Everyone says use a retinol, but what does that even do? I myself am confused, like retinol, tretinoids, what is the deal with those?
Yeah, so essentially what they do is they speed up skin cell turnover. So you have different layers of your skin, and they penetrate into your skin to help exfoliate, really. So things that are higher, like you might see people using 1.0 tretinoin, which is pretty aggressive, and that's going to really dig deep. Kind of think of it as almost like a chemical peel, right? It's going to dig deep into your skin to help your skin rebuild. And for retinol, it's going to sometimes make your skin a little bit thicker and make it a little stronger, and then also help with the discoloration. So I definitely recommend a retinol. We have a retinol product too with Meaga Glow, and I always say it's like a facial in a bottle, because you wake up in the morning, and one time someone said, "And look, you just look so clean when you wake up." I said, "It's that a drink cream."
Oh, I love that. Waking up with that refreshed, glowing from within, all natural. So I'm not using a retinol now, but I will probably pick up one of those Meaga Glow products and test it out. I was like, that sounds like I want to wake up looking pretty. Like, this doesn't come naturally. I got to put some stuff on. Well, thank you, Meagan, for sharing some of those skincare 101. But we're going to be moving on to something else that everybody else needs to know. So now that we've covered all of the skincare basics, Megan's sticking around to break down one of the most important steps in our skincare routine, but also one of the most misunderstood, and that is sunscreen. Things like, what's the difference between a chemical and mineral sunscreen? How often should we reapply? And do we really need to wear it inside? Megan Seidner, founder of Meaga Glow, is going to be giving us all of the SPF 101. But before we hop into it, let's check back in on our poll. So we asked you guys, what is the number one skincare sin? And you guys can vote right here and right now and let your voices be heard. So comment number 1 if you think the worst thing you can do is constantly sleeping in your makeup. Comment 2 if it's skipping your daily sunscreen. Comment 3 if you think regularly popping your pimples is the worst thing you could do. Or comment number 4 if it's not cleaning your makeup brushes. Looks like these are already changing. You guys are getting in your answers live. All right, I see Mary, I see Sandra, okay, everyone, okay. We're getting some of these here. So when we asked you on YouTube, skipping sunscreen was the biggest faux pas, but so far you guys think that popping pimples might do the worst damage to your skin. Well, Megan's here to tell us about why skipping sunscreen could be the worst thing you might be doing for your skin. So Megan, tell us all about sunscreen 101, and more importantly, what the heck is the difference between a chemical and a mineral sunscreen?
Yeah, so I think it's important to remember that SPF literally means sun protection factor. So I think a lot of people kind of like, oh yeah, I use an SPF, don't really know what it means, maybe what the numbers mean, what broad spectrum means. So kind of at a high level, right? We've got a broad spectrum sunscreen. Meaga Glow particularly has all of our sunscreens are broad spectrum. And then you might see the numbers like 40, 45, 50, right? So basically those are just the percentages of the UVA and UVB rays that are being blocked. And then we kind of can think, okay, what's a UVA versus a UVB? UVA rays, literally UV aging, UVA. And then UVB is UV for burning, B. So most sunscreens are going to cover the UVB rays. And that's just a regular sunscreen, probably something like copper tone, right? Or this copper tone sports, something like that. If you want to pick up something that's more broad spectrum and it's helping with the UVA and UVB, that's going to be generally something more higher end. I think Neutrogena might have some broad spectrum, but things like Elta MD, obviously Meaga Glow, Skin Science, kind of something on the higher end is usually more coverage for the different type of rays. So those are great, right? So those are, you want to, depending on what you want out of your sunscreen, it's important to look at whether or not you want a UVA, UVB, or broad spectrum. Something too that, talking about just the numbers, it's really common in Korean skincare. You might see something that says SPF plus or plus 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 or plus 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 plus. And in Asian skincare in the European skincare, those pluses are essentially like our numbers. So something like SPF plus is going to be like an SPF 15. It's going to be the lowest. And then plus 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 is going to be something higher, like 50, right? So that's, pretty much kind of sunscreen basics, right? So when we talk about things like broad spectrum, what the numbers mean, and then a big, I'd say, buzzword now in sunscreen is a nano sunscreen. So those are really big. Yes, nanoparticles are essentially things like our minerals, so titanium dioxide and zinc, that are created to be extra small so that they rub in a little bit better. Mineral sunscreens, and we'll kind of get into it a little bit more, but are known to leave that white cast, right? So the nano sunscreen and the nanoparticles are really huge. And actually, I'd say in places like Hawaii or out by the beach, even here in California, the nano sunscreens are more popular because they are healthier for our reefs.
Oh, okay. So it's not just good for your skin, but for the environment as well. But I like what you're saying in the sense of some sunscreens are so hard to rub in that I am all for these nanoparticles within the sunscreens.
Yeah, so we can talk about mineral sunscreens first, and we can think of mineral sunscreens as a literal shield, and that's why they are white. The sun is bouncing off the sunscreen, and that's how that type of sunscreen is protecting you. And mineral sunscreens work right away. So sometimes I know like really popular with surfers is the zinc. You'll see them like with the zinc just across their face. And some of them carry it on them while they're out there in the water because you can just put it right on and it literally deflects the sun right away. So that's really great. And it is really great for sensitive skin and for kids as well. Those are always the best choices. But they do generally leave a slightly white cast. I'd say newer formulations are becoming more and more sheer with the nano. And we can talk a little bit about Sunbeam, which is our newest SPF that does that as well. And then we have our sun cream that is a mineral sunscreen that rubs in clear. So those are really good options if you're looking for mineral protection that aren't so white casty. But if you're really anti-white cast, you're like, I want a sunscreen that I don't want to deal with the rubbing or, for POC especially, sometimes even a hybrid sunscreen that rubs in clear will maybe leave a purple sheen on you. And that's, not fun either. So chemical sunscreens are a great option. And people think chemical and they get really scared, like, oh, like I don't want chemicals. And all it really means is that the sunscreen is absorbing into your skin and then your skin absorbs the sun rays to block it out. And that's why those types of sunscreens, you have to wait maybe 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes before going out into the sun because it has to absorb into your skin before it can actually work. So if you're just throwing that on and running outside, it's not doing anything for you. We actually have to let it do its job and absorb.
Yes.
So those are chemical sunscreens. Yeah, but those are great. People, I switch up in between all the different types all the time, just depending on what I'm doing or what is and isn't empty on my shelf.
Yeah. Which ones do I have available in that case? That makes a lot of sense. So let me make sure, just so I have this clear. So that mineral sunscreen kind of more rests on your skin. It might give you that white overcast, but it bounces off you. Whereas chemical more so absorbs into your skin and bounces off in that sense. So you have to wait a little bit. But both are super important. Both, depending on your vibe, are still going to give you that same sun protection, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. See, I had no idea.
Yeah, especially if you're, maybe going to go take a bunch of pictures, you probably want to reach for a chemical sunscreen because the mineral sunscreen can actually reflect a flash, right? Because they are deflecting light. So that's important to note too sometimes.
Oh my gosh. Okay. See, that's good to know. I do have a couple SPF questions related because I myself, like I mentioned, I never wore sunscreen growing up. And now I'm like, oh, I'm going to be paying for that. So I should probably get a little bit better at this. What is the minimum SPF we should be wearing on the daily?
I think 15 is fine. If you're going to be inside all day, 15 totally fine. It's important to know though that too, if you're going to be inside working in front of a computer, blue light is pretty much equally as aging as being outside in the sun all day. So yeah. So if you want to, that's why, red light is so popular. Blue light is very, very aging. So if you're going to be sitting inside all day, you want to find a sunscreen that also protects you from blue light, which is the HEV filters. So that's actually our Sunbeam is great for those types of filters. So an antioxidant that's going to block from light pollution is really important.
Oh my gosh, so we should be wearing sunscreen indoors too? I'll get better, you guys, but I didn't even consider that my computer has light too and might be giving me wrinkles. So fair enough, good to know. And then how often should we be reapplying if we're going outside? And what do we do if we're wearing makeup?
Yeah, so I'd say if you're going to be outside, maybe just like makeup free, apply at least every 80 minutes.
Okay.
2 hours max. you're wearing a hat maybe. But if you're wearing makeup, I can definitely see how it's a little bit harder. I think if you stick with a really good something underneath your makeup, generally it's a little bit safer. You've got, other products on top, but maybe look for like a spray sunscreen, something that'll spray on a little bit easier. But, I've got my own thoughts about spray sunscreens as well.
Yeah. I was like, are we not a fan? We're not a fan?
I think unless you're spraying super close, a lot of it misses your face. So it's just important to get it on there.
Fair enough.
But some is better than none.
That's true. That's true. Wear something, protect your skin, or wear a hat, stay in the shade, whatever you can do to minimize that. And we have a question over on YouTube coming from Christine. And I feel like this is a perfect opportunity again to talk about your new sunscreen, because Christine wants to know, what's the best clean sunscreen? What do you recommend, possibly from Meaga Glow?
I know. So all of our products are clean. When I say clean, I mean sulfate and phthalate free. And so those are both really big hormone disruptors, and which, people, especially now, we do so many different products. And we wear a lot of products that are 100% cotton. We're wearing a lot of plastic. So when we want to minimize the risk of things, truly especially for women like breast cancer, we want to look at things that aren't endocrine disrupting. So Meaga Glow is a completely clean skincare line. Everything is green leaf compliant. We're cruelty free, and all of our ingredients are super clean, and a lot of them are botanical. Some people can be a little sensitive to botanical, so we've got a little bit of mix in there of things that are more formulated less botanical, that are available for people with more sensitive skin. If that is the case for you, maybe the Sunbeam isn't the best option, but definitely if you're looking for a mineral sunscreen, the sun cream is great. And the sun cream has glycoproteins proteins in it too, so it's really hydrating. This is one of my favorite sunscreens, but I've definitely been leaning towards the Sunbeam lately because it has a little bit of a pink tint to it from iron oxides. I don't know if you guys can see that on camera, but it does rub in clear, which is really nice, and can kind of see that it leaves a really pretty sheen. So I've been reaching for this and not even doing any tinted moisturizer or foundation lately. I just do my makeup right over this sunscreen. And JC threw up some photos earlier of some different skin types, and it works great for darker skin as well, and that's always been really important to me. Some people ask, why haven't you released a tinted sunscreen? And I said I cannot afford the range quite yet. Once I can afford the range, I will be more than happy to make a tinted sunscreen that's available for everybody.
That's amazing. Well, congratulations on launching your latest sunscreen. You guys, we will leave the link on our website as well as in the bio below to get your own. We have our Sunbeam and our Sun Cream sunscreen based on what you heard from Megan. And like she said, Meaga Glow is not just about powerful ingredients, but empowering you with the knowledge in all things skincare. So thank you for sharing some of that sunscreen information with us.